Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming at the new time and adjusting. Appreciate everybody's cooperation. We'll start with the invocation prayers. Invocation prayers are on the introduction page of Bhagavad Gita. Those who already know can please follow along. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Kopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavanu Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. We welcome Hemangi for this our Bhagavad Gita study. She is in the process of listening to class recordings like many of you who have joined partway through. So what we'll be doing today is we'll finish off the leftover verses of Bhagavad Gita chapter 12 from 13 to 20. And then we will start discussing chapter 13. So chapter 13 onwards, it's a slightly new conversation that happens, and we'll discuss. I'll lay the foundation for chapter 13 onwards, and you will realize. And after finishing the few verses of chapter 12, I will also repeat the discussion of the upcoming Bhagavad Gita presentations where you all will be presenting. I'll briefly repeat the same discussion again. So we discussed at our last class in chapter 12 verses 8, 9, 10, 11, Krishna gave a descending ladder of devotion so that anybody and everybody can practice bhakti at whatever level is comfortable for them. So Krishna starts in 12.8 at the highest level, that fix your mind on Krishna. This is the highest. This is at pure devotional level. If you cannot fix your mind on Krishna, then Krishna gives in 12.9 that do sadhana bhakti to increase your desire to attain Krishna. And if you cannot do sadhana bhakti, then Krishna says, then work for me. And if you cannot work for Krishna, then he says, then give up the fruits of your work. Offer the results of your work to Krishna. This way, anybody and everybody can practice bhakti. Although it sounds like bhakti is very exalted and one may think, well, I have to do something else before I come to bhakti. No, that is not correct. Bhakti itself purifies you, and bhakti itself is your goal. So we don't have to go to some other process first and then come to bhakti. No, we just practice bhakti, and bhakti itself will elevate us to the highest level. Any questions, comments, realizations from the heavy discussion we had last time? All right. So now we'll discuss the last set of verses, which are pretty straightforward verses. This is section 3 of chapter 12, verses 13 to 20. Title is Qualities that Endear One to Krishna, meaning the qualities Krishna likes to see in his devotees. A devotee who renders devotional services while cultivating these qualities as well as while possessing these qualities, then he becomes very dear to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada would always quote Srimad Bhagavatam verse 5.18.12 that the devotee has all the good qualities that the demigods have. The emphasis of the Srimad Bhagavatam 5.18.12 verse is that automatically devotee does not have good qualities. But the emphasis of the verse is that the bhakti process is the sustainable means for development of all these good qualities. People in the material world may also have one or more of these good qualities, but it is very difficult to sustain those qualities without a base. And bhakti becomes the base. Bhakti becomes the foundation by which you can develop as well as sustain all these good qualities. The point of these set of verses in chapter 12 is that bhakti can help us develop these qualities as we practice devotional service. But this does not mean that I should imagine that bhakti has already whitewashed me. No, we should strive to develop all these good qualities. How do we strive? That while practicing devotional services, we try to observe these qualities in elevated devotees, as well as we try to exhibit these qualities in us also while our dealings with others. So these verses 13 to 24 are pretty straightforward. There are roughly 24 qualities described in these verses. Some are repeated for emphasis. So we'll start reading the verses and we'll discuss some points about it. Abhishek Prabhu, chapter 12, verses 13 and 14, translation.
Sorry, I'll not be able to read today. There is some
Uh,
background sound.
okay.
So,
Okay. Deepa, Deepa, Malti.
Hare Krishna. Text 13 and 14. One who is not envious but is a kind of a friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination. His mind and intelligence fix on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Hare Krishna.
So all these verses, they end with this sentence. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. So there are 7 qualities described in these 2 verses, that one is not envious but kind friend to all living entities. Second, doesn't think himself the proprietor and is free from false ego. Third is equal in happiness and distress and in fear and anxiety. Fourth is tolerant. Fifth is always satisfied and self-controlled. Sixth is engaged in devotional service with determination. And seventh is mind and intelligence is fixed on Krishna. Generally, when someone is very successful, very prosperous, then often envy comes in my heart. Now, devotee does not have the illusion that anything material can make me happy. Therefore, the devotee is not disturbed by the prosperity of others. And this is how the devotee does not envy others. If someone has something better, say a better car or big bungalow or whatever, well, that is his karma. That is according to his varna and karma. And whatever I have is according to my karma and my varna. Therefore, I don't have to become envious. But then this non-negative in of itself is not positive. Yes, devotee is not envious to others, that is correct. But beyond this, devotee's vision towards others is positive. Malti, read the purport and I'll stop you partway through.
Yes, Prabhuji. Purport. Coming again to the point of pure devotional service, the Lord is describing the transcendental qualification of pure devotees in these 2 verses. A pure devotee is never disturbed in any circumstances, nor is he envious of anyone, nor does a devotee become his enemy's enemy. He think this person is acting as my enemy due to my own past uh, misdeeds, so it is better to suffer than the protest. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.8, it is stated that tat te nukampam su samiksa mano punjana evatma kartam vipakam. Whenever a devotee is in distress or has fallen into difficulty, he thinks that it is the Lord's mercy upon him. He thinks, thanks to my past misdeed of I should suffer far and far greater than I am suffering now. So it is by the mercy of the Supreme Lord that I am not getting all the punishment uh, I am due. I am the just getting a little by the mercy of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is always calm, quiet, and patient despite many distressful conditions. A devotee is also always kind to everyone, even to his enemy.
Yeah. So devotee is kind even to his enemy. This is the nature of a devotee. Srila Prabhupada explains how devotee is Adveshta Sarvabhutana. That because devotee understands that ultimately it is my karma that is coming back to me. And the other person who is right now hurting me or acting as my enemy, he is just an instrument to manifest my past bad karma. So it is better to suffer right now and end this bad karma rather than to protest. And Prabhupada quotes the very well-known verse 10.14.8. We have discussed and read this multiple times that the Brahmaji is speaking this verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. And Brahmaji says to Krishna, he's saying this verse to Krishna that whosoever tolerates the suffering and the reactions of the past misdeeds while continuing to do devotional service, such a person becomes eligible for liberation. Then the point about nirmamo and nirahankar, that to let bodily designations become our self-definition is illusion. Therefore, give up such illusion. And this is the process of liberation from illusion. Another point about being equipoised in distress and happiness. So, an example to understand this is, say in one hand, I have $1, which is equivalent to material pleasures and the possessions that I have. And in another hand, I have $1,000,000, which is my spirituality and devotional connection with Krishna. Although I may not realize right now that my spirituality is worth significantly more. And I have to understand that material things cannot help me and therefore they are insignificant and therefore I will be equipoised. To the extent we don't have strong spiritual connection, then the material ups and downs will shake us. From soul's eternal happiness perspective, pleasures and pains of this material world are all temporary. Therefore, one should try to be equipoised in happiness and distress. Next point is about always being satisfied in devotional service. Santushta. That devotee is always satisfied because devotee understands that ultimately the relationship with Krishna and Krishna's service is all that I need. Therefore, the devotee is not worried about anything else. The next is the point about being self-controlled and strongly determined. So we should not imagine that all these exalted qualities come easily and naturally. No, we have to strive for them. We assume that the qualities of advanced devotees are something they got from birth? No, they did not get from birth. They practiced, and that's how they have developed. So those who work like this to develop these qualities, Krishna says they offer their mind and intelligence to me, and they are the topmost devotees, and such a devotee is very dear to me. Questions, comments, realizations? All right.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna. When you say that we have to strive for these qualities, like, is it just doing our devotional activities which brings these, or something else?
So those devotees who have been doing devotional services with me here at the Toronto Temple, they can tell you that when we do devotional services, say we observe, say for example, Dwarkanath is very good example that that how come he has these qualities? So we'll go and ask him that what is it that you did to develop these qualities? Or one time, one of the devotee in one of the batch asked me this question that the other devotee with whom we have relation, that devotee had lost a family member. So how come I was equipoised? So what did this devotee do? This devotee observed. So this point about observation is coming up very soon in chapter 13, where there many of these qualities will get repeated. That we observe spiritual masters and pure devotees and elevated devotees, and then we go and inquire, and then we practice. So I've explained this multiple times to devotees who are coming for devotional services with me at the Toronto Temple, and some of them can share their experience, that devotional service is not a material task. When we go to cut fruits and vegetables at the temple kitchen, it's not a material task that we are doing. Rather, we are observing others, we are observing ourselves, and we observe and say, I am lacking so and so quality. What should I be doing? So with this inquiry, and then we get some scriptural guidance, and then we practice. So devotional service practice means that we observe, we learn, and then we practice. So some devotees, they are present here virtually. Would you like to share some of your experiences while we're doing services?
Prabhuji, Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
Deepa, go ahead.
For me, my biggest thing I've learned to be a little like have more discipline, not talking, just chanting mentally also.
Okay, very
Because
good.
while
Yeah,
doing work, I felt I had, and when I do my other service at the other temple, others would be speaking, and all I would remember is you at the ISKCON temple, what you taught us. So for
yeah,
me, that's a big thing for me, like to have discipline,
yeah, very
and I'm
good. And
working on it.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's a good example of observation, right? What we do at ISKCON among
Yeah.
devotees, we are only focused on chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, or trying to focus on Krishna's words, trying to focus on Krishna. Versus
Yeah.
others, not just at other temple, at ISKCON also. Others are just talking mundane things. Well, that is not
Yes.
devotional service, right?
Yes. I try to say things to them that we should be chanting instead of gossiping
Hmm.
and talking about other people and talk their personal life. And
Yeah.
but I would just sit there or stand there and do my work and just remember what you taught us. So thank you
Okay.
for that.
Very good practice. So Abhishek Prabhu, does that answer your inquiry?
Yes, Rohit, thank you. This point that it has to be practiced is very important. Thank you.
Yeah. Very good. Pratyush Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. My question was regarding the point of showing kindness to your enemies. If an enemy is hell-bent on, pulling you down or making the mistake of taking your kindness as a weakness, then how do we navigate that particular situation?
Yeah. So kindness is forgiveness, right? So forgiveness is a quality that we have to develop. Forgiveness is for you to give, while trust is for other person to build. So just because you forgive someone does not mean you start trusting him, right? The other person, say he has hurt you in the past, but he's saying, okay, now I don't want to hurt you. Well, you don't just believe what he's saying. He has to build his trust back with you. Forgiveness is for you to give. Otherwise, the example to understand this is, if you don't forgive, means you are trying to get back to this person, is like you are holding a burning charcoal in your hand, trying to hurl that burning coal onto the other person, not realizing that the burning coal is hurting you right now. Means inside you, if you have not forgiven, you are having this enmity, this negative feelings all the time. And why would you be envy? Nothing in the material world can make you happy to begin with. And we just discussed a few minutes ago that the other person hurting you is just an instrument to manifest your own bad karma. So if at all you want to become angry, well, become angry on your mind and senses that caused you to do the bad karma in the first place in your past life, because of which you have a negative reaction. The other person is just an instrument. It is your bad karma. So why are you becoming angry on the instrument? If at all you want to become angry on your mind and your senses. Pick up a shoe and beat your mind 100 times. That why are you doing these bad things? At least on a go forward basis, you can stop the mind from doing the bad things. Pratyush Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, that explains a lot. Thank you.
Very good. Very good inquiry. Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhu, in this forgiveness point related to kindness, I appreciate because I've always felt that I find it difficult to forgive. So this is more helpful.
Yeah. So very good. Very good hearing with rapt attention. In Srimad Bhagavatam 4.8.34, Srila Prabhupada has given a formula of how to be not envious. And my spiritual master has a lecture on this topic as well. Some of you have heard it, not you can get it from me. So in 4.8.34 is the Dhruv Maharaj pastime where Prabhupada has explained that if we meet someone more qualified than us, then we should become happy that how can I learn from him? If we meet someone equally qualified like us, then we make friends with him. And if we meet someone less qualified than us, then we show our compassion to him. This way, there is no need for envy in the material world. whether you are meeting someone more qualified, equally qualified, or less qualified. Prabhupada has given us what should be our response in 4.8.34, and that way you will never be envy. Abhishek Prabhu, rest of you.
Thank you, Guru.
All right. Deepa, are you now able to read verse 15 translation?
Yes, Prabhuji. He by whom no text 15, right?
Mhm.
Text 15. Okay. He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equiposed in happiness and distress, free from anxiety is very dear to me. Hare
Mhm.
Krishna.
So, first quality described is for whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone. And second is a repeat that equal in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety. So first Prabhupada explains by whom people are not disturbed. So when we share Krishna consciousness with others, generally people get agitated. The point here is that we have to have proper intention and proper execution. So proper knowledge is required to evaluate whether our intention was correct or not. Even if intention is correct, then we have to be able to execute it properly. Example, say a surgeon who is capable of doing proper surgery and execute the surgery properly. Now, superficially, it may appear that the surgeon has cut open the patient, which may even cause pain to the patient than before the surgery. So the goal of the surgeon to cut open the patient is not to kill or hurt the patient, rather is to heal the patient. But as part of healing, some cutting may be required. So the devotee has no intention of disturbing anyone. A devotee simply wants to practice devotional service by himself, and the devotee uh, wants to encourage others also to practice devotional service. Now, the other point is, how can devotee not be disturbed by others? The answer is because the devotee understands that everything that I possess ultimately belongs to Krishna. Other people are also belonging to Krishna and their assets also belong to Krishna. When people act under the three modes, infatuated by their bodily conceptions, devotee simply recognizes that these other people are just puppets in the hands of the modes. Hence, the devotee does not allow himself to be disturbed. He just focuses on doing devotional services. Now, in terms of this preaching of not agitating others, so we have to preach according to time, place, and circumstances. We don't have to go around and tell others that you are ignorant and you don't understand. No, that's not our goal. We practice devotional service in a manner which does not disturb anyone. So we start with basic topics when we meet newcomer, say about soul, about karma, about suffering. We talk about basic concepts that would be very relatable rather than getting into advanced topics from day one. Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna again. When I show compassion to certain people, others would think I'm very naive. Like sometimes I don't know if to fight with them, argue with them, or what do I do?
So you show compassion to that person also who is arguing with you or who is fighting with you. You can explain, but beyond a point, you have to first judge whether that person is ready to accept. Now, why this person is fighting with you? Because he does not have compassion. Otherwise, he would have seen your compassion, right? So
Okay.
you just stay neutral. You just try to explain that we have to develop these positive qualities that Krishna has asked us. Without, I mean, you have to judge whether you can say Krishna or not. You can say we have to develop positivity, right?
Oh,
You take it in a simple terms rather than saying Bhagavad Gita says these qualities. He may get even more offended or even more backtracked. So we discussed in verse 13, 14 that one level is not being envious is good, is is being not negative. But beyond this, devotee also has positivity. So for somebody who does not understand compassion, you don't have to talk about these hi-fi qualities. You can just say in simple terms, let's develop positivity. Let's look at positive. How can we help others? Deepa?
okay. Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Very good. Padma Kumar Prabhu, 16 translation.
My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me.
So three qualities explain that: not dependent on ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains. And the third is not striving for some result. Let's read the purport. Parth Prabhu, 16 purport, faster pace, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, purport, verse 16. Money may be offered to a devotee, but he should not struggle to acquire it. If automatically, by the grace of the Supreme, money comes to him, he is not agitated. Naturally, a devotee takes a bath at least twice in a day and rises early in the morning for devotional service. Thus, he is naturally clean both inwardly and outwardly. A devotee is always expert because he fully knows the essence of all activities of life and he is convinced of the authoritative scriptures. A devotee never takes the part of a particular party, therefore, he is carefree. He is never pained because he is free from all designations. He knows that his body is a designation. So, if there are some bodily pains, he is free. The pure devotee does not endeavor for anything which is against the principles of devotional service. For example, constructing a big building requires great energy, and the devotee does not take to such business if it does not benefit him by advancing the devotional service. He may construct a temple for the Lord, and for that he may take all kinds of anxiety. But he does not construct a big house for his personal relation.
So Prabhupada explained that externally devotee is clean by taking bath, and internal cleanliness is by cultivating pure and positive thoughts. The word daksha which is there in the Sanskrit, means devotee tries to excel in the service that is allocated to him. And our dear Srila Prabhupada is a perfect example of being Daksha. He excelled at everything. In the purport, we read that devotee does not take part for a particular party, and therefore he is carefree. Carefree because devotee does not have unnecessary cares. And devotee gives up selfish endeavors. So spiritual advancement is a journey from selfishness to supreme selflessness. So supreme selflessness is absorption in pure service to Krishna. Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, what is like cultivating pure and positive thoughts?
So all these devotional service qualities or that Krishna has described throughout Bhagavad Gita is cultivation. And we have discussed this in Nectar of Instruction, that bhakti is cultivation, like a gardener, that you sow the seeds, you till the land, water, and that's how the fruits come. Similarly, bhakti is cultivation, that you observe, you practice, you water by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and that's how you develop, right? So we discuss at the start of this section that we don't have to assume that we automatically have these qualities, or by practicing devotional service, we are whitewashed with these qualities. No, we have to cultivate, just as a gardener cultivates land to grow fruits, flowers, or whatever he is trying to. Abhishek Prabhu.
Is there something specific about cultivation of thought?
Cultivation refers to that which is favorable for bhakti. That is cultivation, right? There can be negative points also, and we look at it that negative which is against bhakti, we avoid those. So both ways is cultivation, that doing the positive so that we develop the positive qualities, and avoid the negative so that we don't develop the negative qualities. Abhishek Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, there was a point in purport which said that devotees don't take something like devotees don't take side, so they are carefree. Um, can you like sometimes there are things which are happening wrong. Um, how, so do we not take do we don't have opinions on them?
So we have discussed this in the previous chapter 11, that Arjuna does not have enmity against Kauravas. How is that possible? He's fighting war. He's killing them. How can he not have enmity? So we discussed this point, that Arjuna is simply executing the service given to him to remove the troublesome kings from earth. But end of the day, when everybody is going back to their fighting camps, Arjuna does not have any personal agenda against Kauravas. He would even go and meet them, and you would have seen Mahabharata that they have actually gone and met with the other side during the evening time. So not taking sides means that I don't have a personal agenda against someone. That's what the Prabhupada is saying, that I am neutral. I am focused on devotional service. Yes, if somebody is hurting someone, yes, I would say that please don't hurt, as long as it is within my jurisdiction to be able to tell that to somebody. But devotee is not focused on one political party versus other political party as an example. Abhishek Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
All right. Follow me, 17 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna everyone. Text 17. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me.
So qualities described, one are neither rejoices nor grieves. Then second is neither laments nor desires. And third is who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. So when one understands that there is nothing auspicious in this world, because everything in this world is temporary, hence both Shubh and Ashubh means auspicious and inauspicious, both are undesirable. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that nothing is as important as the discharge of devotional service. This is the most important thing for a devotee. And for this, the devotee becomes very dear to Krishna. Pratyush Prabhu, 1819 translation. Pratyush Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, can you hear me?
Yeah.
One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me.
So 7 qualities described in this, that equal to friends and enemies. Second, equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy. Third is free from contaminating association. Fourth is always silent and satisfied with anything. Fifth is who does not care for any residence. Sixth is who is fixed in knowledge. And seventh is who is engaged in devotional service. So devotee is satisfied with whatever be his situation. Devotee is situated in one's connection with Krishna, and devotee's body may not even have a fixed residence. So devotee may be traveling preacher and devotee does not have even a house. But at that point, devotee already has an inner house, his connection with Krishna. And that inner house, his connection with Krishna, his remembrance with Krishna, is what he's most focused on and he's most cherishing. Last verse for chapter 12. Hemangi, are you able to read chapter 12, verse 20 translation? Hemangi?
I don't have any book or
All right.
anything. Yes,
Okay. Get connect with me for the book later. Raksha, 12.20 translation.
Hare Krishna. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. Hare Krishna.
So qualities are those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service, who completely engage themselves with faith, making Krishna the supreme goal. Such a devotee is very, very dear to me, Krishna says. So faith is the greatest quality. All other qualities also endear one to Krishna, but faith endears one to Krishna the most. So this is the end of the Bhakti section. Although entire Bhagavad Gita is on Bhakti, but specifically the middle 6 chapters 7 to 12 are directly focused on Bhakti, and it ends here. So I have described at the end of first 6 chapters that what is the essence of first 6 chapters. Anybody remembers? Anybody remembers? I gave you a 1 sentence and 3 verses as the essence of the first 6 chapters. Everybody forgot? Now you know why I keep saying we have to revise Bhagavad Gita. Yes, Padma Kumar Prabhu, 6.47 is correct, but what is the essence of the essence statement that I had given? 6.47 is correct. Okay, Subhash Prabhu is bang to the point, correct. Okay, so I will repeat the essence of the first 6 chapters. That with mind and sense control, realize 5.29, not just in theory but in practice, that Krishna is the only Bhoktaram. Do 5.11 with detachment or purification, means act in the world only for purification and not for sense gratification, because action done in the world with detachment is far better than renunciation of action, so that you can come to 6.47, that yoginam api sarvesham matkaten antaratmana shrattavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamamata, that you become the best yogi, meaning you come to bhakti yoga from wherever you are, whatever level, whatever position you are at. So Krishna gave in first 6 chapters the various yoga paths, whether karma kanda, karma yoga, gyan yoga, ashtanga yoga, so that you can come to 6.47 of fixing mind on Krishna. And from chapter 7 onwards, anybody remembers how does chapter 7 start? Very important verse. How does chapter 7 start? Very good. 7.1. What's the key word in 7.1? Okay, importance of hearing. Very good. What's very important? What's the very first line?
Maya Sakta Mana Partha.
Yeah, Maya Sakta Mana Partha. So 6.47 second line, Matkate Nantaratmana, is identical to 7.1 first line, Maya Sakta Mana Partha, that get your mind fixed on Krishna. So first 6 chapters were the various paths that you follow: Karma Kanda, Karma Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, or a mix of all of that, and come to 6.47 of fixing mind on Krishna. But that is very difficult, laborious task. And in 7.1 onwards, for the middle 6 chapters, Krishna gave an alternative path to attain the same goal of fixing mind on Krishna. Therefore, the 7.1 starts, Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Sakta Mana Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashraya Asamsayam Samakram Mam Vyata Jnanasi Tachrunu, that by hearing your doubts get removed, you do devotional service, you take shelter of Krishna, and the result is Maya Sakta Mana Partha. So Krishna gave an alternative path of devotional service to attaining the same result of fixing mind on Krishna. So the essence of the middle 6 chapters, 7 to 12, devotional service is the essence of the Bhakti section, chapters 7 to 12. Questions, comments, realizations? All right, I request all of you to have undivided attention for this discussion about reality check. So we are at a junction point, and you should do this reality check again and again, at least at this junction point. So we are studying philosophy not to become a jnani. Rather, Bhagavad Gita is meant for all of us to transform. Therefore, do a constant reality check whether you are constantly on the spirituality track. Because material world is a very sticky place. One is very easily carried away with the rush that we have in the material world. Therefore, do a constant reality check. Am I remembering Krishna all the time? Am I memorizing verses all the time? Because memorizing verses is easy and ready-made template to remember Krishna. Am I practicing Shastra Chakshu all the time? Because I want to live according to Shastra rather than using my contaminated mind and intelligence. Am I practicing Vibhuti Yoga all the time from all the material attractions around me? Am I listening to Srila Prabhupada lectures every week that I send? Because hearing is the most important devotional process. We discussed just a few minutes ago in 7.1. It says Tat Shrunu, the importance of hearing. And if I miss our Bhagavad Gita classes, am I listening to the recordings as soon as is possible? And all those who listen to recordings, am I sending striking points and inquiries from each of the missed class recordings? So all of you have been doing these activities regularly and diligently. But then you would notice that soon the material world will take over. So I kept hammering everybody about listening to Srila Prabhupada lectures every week. Ask yourself, does everybody listen to Srila Prabhupada lectures every week that I post? Everybody?
So, like, no, Prabhuji. Initially, it was more easy, but slowly that habit
Yeah,
is
and that's what
done.
I said, that you all start diligently, but then material world takes over. Therefore, do this reality check again and again and again. But thank you for sharing. Ria?
Yeah, Prabhuji, not consistently. I have to accept that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not here to chastise anyone, right? This is very natural. That material world is a very sticky place. So we have to constantly keep doing this reality check for ourselves. All these points that I said, I'm only pausing for one Prabhupada lecture point, but you do a reality check for yourself. You don't have to tell me. Do it for yourself, for all these points that I mentioned. Deepa wanted to say something?
Oh, Prabhuji, I got kicked out of my internet, so I got reconnected.
All right.
No, I was saying sometimes I start off listening and then I get distracted, a phone call or something happens,
Yeah.
and I would stop it.
Yeah. So we have to constantly do this reality check, and we have to constantly keep bringing ourselves back on track. Otherwise, material world is a very sticky place. So this waywardness is very natural. So you don't have to get bogged down on whatever has happened in the past or think about the past. No, don't worry about the past. Just on a go forward basis, at least, try to do this course correction. So the whole intent of our sadhana practice is to become conscious of our mind so that we can control our mind. Otherwise, one will continue to act according to the mind's default settings, just as, say, when you buy a new cell phone and comes with a default ringtone, whether or not you like the ringtone, that ringtone will ring. If you don't like the ringtone, you'll have to consciously change. Similarly, we have to be conscious of our mind. Therefore, do this reality check again and 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 again, like a broken tape, for yourself. The default setting of the material world is that material world is full of miseries. We have discussed about miseries is that we don't have to use all our energy in trying to resolve miseries because it is not possible to resolve these miseries. Rather, we do just about enough and tolerate the miseries and spend most of our energies on Krishna conscious activities. So, whosoever wants to bring forward their own experiences or challenges on these points, you are welcome to right now if you are bold enough, or you can connect with me offline. Anybody wants to share or inquire something?
Hare Krishna, sir. There's one thing I want to share, like uh, regarding this verses memorization. Initially, when we started discussion, and I felt it was easier, and I also memorized many verses. But now, somehow, even if I keep the verse with me, it just the mind doesn't go to again and again reciting it.
Yeah.
It's
So this is lack of discipline and material world taking over, right? So you become conscious and force yourself. I have given you so many practical ways. When you wake up at a verse time. When you are in the washroom, memorize verses. When you are showering, it's a waste of time, memorize verses. When you are sitting in doctor's office, it's a waste of time, memorize verses. When you are doing cooking and cleaning at your home, memorize verses. I have given you so many practical ways to make your 24-hour day as Krishna conscious as possible. So become conscious and force yourself. Prabhupada says in 2.49, Durena hi avram karma, that by force bring yourself back on track. Abhishek Prabhu?
Thank you, Prabhuji. I just realized that you gave, like, I was focusing more on verses memorization while doing services, even though you have discussed that there are so many other opportunities also. And I think it is a consciousness, a state that we are in that mood that we want to memorize verses like throughout the day. And then whenever we get free time, we naturally want to do it because we are in that consciousness. If that goes away, then even if we have free time, the thought that I can memorize verses right now doesn't come.
Yeah. So it's a practice. I already said that don't worry about the past. Just do a course correction on a go forward basis. This is very natural. Abhishek Prabhu, you are not alone. I have also gone through the same, right? This is very natural. Just keep doing the course correction again and again and again and again and again and again like a broken tail.
Thank you.
Rest of you, anybody bold enough? All right. You can,
Prabhuji,
yeah. Deepa, go
when I
ahead.
started my Bhagavad Gita class, I was actually very, very nervous. I would get nervous the night before. I have to get up the next day and get scared to even read. But now I'm becoming more and more confident in participating in the class. I just need to dedicate more time to reading more verses.
Yeah, very good. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, our classes are very cooperative, open-ended, and it's a two-way. It's not for me to sit and give you a class and then you go home and hold your head, I don't know what happened.
But
Right?
I don't like missing classes though. I feel like I'm
Very good.
missing something.
Yeah, very good. So that's good. You're developing taste.
Yes, thanks, Prabhuji.
Now, based on my experience from all the previous batches, few devotees, they leave the devotee association after Bhagavad Gita is complete. They think they know everything. So let me explain that those who understand or those who think that by studying Bhagavad Gita, they have studied, they know everything, well, they are in illusion. Those who actually understand Bhagavad Gita, they continue to study rest of the scriptures. And those who actually do not understand Bhagavad Gita, they leave the devotee association in the illusion state that Bhagavad Gita study has given them everything. No, understand that Bhagavad Gita is just ABCD of spirituality. There is a lot more in rest of Bhakti scriptures. So, just because we are at a junction point, I request all of you to please also give me feedback if we need to adjust anything in our Bhagavad Gita study. So we can adjust. There's no point in waiting till the end. We have discussed this earlier also. So we can adjust as we go along. The next point I'm going to bring up on screen is the upcoming presentations. So I think I have emails for everybody, I think. And I'm going to share this document with you all. Those who are in the catch-up, they cannot do presentations because you haven't caught up. So you should get caught up. And this presentation is coming up from middle of December, where we will revise Bhagavad Gita from start. So you populate your name in column B, which is highlighted in green. These are color coded by the dates. We'll start slow by revising one chapter at a time, then we'll increase to 2 chapters, and we'll keep doing it. So Malti, I haven't sent the email yet. I will be sharing this with everybody shortly. So populate your names. What you should be doing is pick your first presentation from the initial 4-5 chapters. And then when you do your presentation, I'll give you a little feedback. You will see how other devotees are doing, and you will learn so that your second presentation becomes a little better presentation. Although the learning goes on forever, but at least in this exercise, You try to improve upon from what you did. So to prepare for your presentation, you read the chapter translations, you read your notes, and you understand the essence. You are not talking about verse by verse by verse. You are just talking about the essence of the series of verses or the essence of the section. And for your preparation, you can just listen to previous batches Bhagavad Gita presentations for whichever chapter or whichever section you plan to present. And you simply repeat in your own words. Prabhupada has said that if you simply repeat what you hear, you will be the perfect preacher. So for your presentation, you start with simple invocation prayers that I request permission and blessings from all devotees, from Srila Prabhupada, from Shri Shri Radha Krishna, to be able to speak on Bhagavad Gita. This one line invocation is important because without the invocation, without seeking mercy and blessings from previous acharyas, it's not possible to speak on spirituality subject matter. Now, this permission and blessings has to be in this sequence, that first from devotees, then from Srila Prabhupada, and then from Shri Shri Radha Krishna. If you have a living spiritual master, just as Matan Prabhu has, then it is blessings from devotees, then from your living spiritual master, then from Srila Prabhupada, and then from Shri Shri Radha Krishna. So you don't have to be scared of this presentation. It sounds like a very short amount of time, that each chapter you are talking in less than 8 to 10 minutes. Every single devotee across all previous batches in the past 10 years or so have had this exact same anxiety, but now they are very fluent in doing these presentations very easily. So it's a matter of learning, just as you learn to walk. So I'll be sharing this document very shortly. You populate your name as soon as is possible. Now the presentations are going to start mid of December, and you will be thinking, I have a lot of time. Believe me, you have no time. Start preparing from chapter 1 immediately, because you will realize that you don't remember chapter 1 discussions at all. We discussed like a year ago. So even though one devotee or two devotees will be presenting a particular chapter, but this exercise is for everyone. So everyone will prepare all chapters. Yes, one or two devotees are presenting, but everyone is preparing, and everyone can ask questions as you go along. For your presentations, you can prepare a presentation if you like, a slideshow. It's okay. You can recite important Sanskrit verses and talk about the essence of the series of verses that you are talking about. Any questions, comments, realizations on the presentations? I want everyone to please speak to me. Hare Krishna, somebody, everybody in anxiety?
I'm actually a little nervous.
Okay. Don't be nervous. Just
Okay.
listen to the previous recording and just repeat in your own words.
Okay. Thanks, Prabhuji. Oh, Prabhuji, how do we get the previous recording from the
Get it from me. Yeah, get it from me.
Okay, do we have to ask for a special like chapter, or
You can get all if you want, or start with the one that you are presenting.
okay.
If you want all, by everyone, I can give you all. We have recordings.
Thanks, Prabhuji.
The rest of you, silence, anxiety.
No, Prabhuji, we will try to give a best presentation.
Okay, very good. Pratyush Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I'm anxious, but to some extent a bit excited as well, even
Okay,
though it's
very
my
good.
first time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
it's a
good.
mix of two feelings.
Okay, very good. Janisha.
Same as Prabhuji mentioned, I'm both anxious and excited.
Okay. Focus on the excitement part and you'll be doing good.
Okay.
All right. So don't worry, just what Deepa said, that get the recording from me for the previous batch and just repeat in your own words. You'll be perfect preacher. Don't worry about this presentation. But my request to all of you is start preparing from chapter 1 right away. You'll be surprised. You will not remember chapter 1 onwards at all. I keep forgetting. I have to revise Bhagavad Gita again and again and again. I forget because I have Kali memory. So these revisions are going to help us to stay on track and remember Krishna through Krishna's words. All right. Now we will start chapter 13. So this last section of Bhagavad Gita from chapter 13 to 18 is very philosophical. Specifically, chapter 13 and 14 are very, very philosophical. The points explained in chapter 13 and chapter 14 are not available in any other religious books. So we will discuss practical aspects from these two chapters at least, beyond the raw philosophy. And we will discuss practical aspects for all. Now, chapters 13 onwards, there are very few key memorization verses. So use the opportunity to memorize and recite verses from before as well as upcoming memorization verses. So just as Abhishek Prabhu was pointing out. So use this as an opportunity that after every class, you will try to recite one or two verses. So chapter 14 has two key memorization verses. Chapter 15 has two key memorization verses. And chapter 18 has 5 key memorization verses. So there's a lot of gap in between that you don't have key memorization verses for few chapters. Therefore, use this as an opportunity to remember verses from before, from the start. Everybody can do that, please. Do I have to play the critter sound?
We'll try our best, Prabhuji. I will.
Thank you. Rest of you, we discussed to do the reality check-in. Here's your opportunity. Janisha, should I play the critter sound?
No, Prabhuji. I'll try my best.
All right. I wasn't picking on you. I was just using the critter sound because last time you liked that. All right. So chapter 13 to 18 is known as the Jnana section of Bhagavad Gita. So chapters 1 to 6 are about how karma leads to bhakti. Chapters 7 to 12 directly talk about bhakti. And chapters 13 to 18 talk about how jnana leads to bhakti. So there's a completely new topic. So chapter 13 is philosophically most complex chapter in Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 13 contains some verses that are very difficult to comprehend. Now, His Grace Chaitanya Das's lectures have detailed philosophical discussion, but I'm not going to go into that much detailed philosophical discussion. I will only touch base on few important points, and that too only briefly, because some of these points are very, very difficult to comprehend. In this chapter 13, the movie theater example will come up again and again. Now, devotees from past batches, when they heard this movie theater example as to how it applies for themselves, the devotees could not stop laughing on themselves. And let me know if you all also end up laughing for yourself when you hear the movie theater example. So chapter 13 is titled Nature, Enjoyer, and Consciousness. In Sanskrit, it is Prakriti, Purusha, Vivek, Yoga. Chapter 13 is divided into 6 sections. Section 1 is verse 1 only. Title is Arjuna's 6 questions. Although verse number 1 and 2 are combined, verse number 2 is Krishna's response, but verse number 1 is Arjuna's 6 questions. Section 2 is verse number 2 to 7. Title is Kshetra and Kshetragya. So all these Sanskrit words you will know very soon. They come up in the very first verse. So this section 2 is answer to Arjuna's question number 3 and 4. So let me go back to the first section. The Arjuna's 6 questions are Purusha Prakriti, Kshetra Kshetragya, Geyam, and Jnana. So first 2 questions are Purusha and Prakriti. Third and fourth questions are Kshetra and Kshetragya. Fifth question is Jnanam, means knowledge. And sixth question is Geyam, the object of knowledge. So come back to section 2. Verses 2 to 7 is about Kshetra and Kshetragya, is answer to Arjuna's question number 3 and 4. Section 3 is verses 8 to 12. Jnana, the process of knowledge. This is answer to Arjuna's 5th question. Section 4 is verses 13 to 19. Geyam, the object of knowledge. This is answer to Arjuna's 6th question. Section 5 is verses 20 to 26. Prakriti and Purusha. This is answer to Arjuna's 1st and 2nd question. That how does Prakriti and Purusha interact? And section 6 is verses 27 to 35. Title is Jnana Chakshu. That how do all these above points come together? Means to see with philosophical vision instead of just material vision. So this section 6 verses 27 to 35 is a bonus section where Krishna offers Jnana Chakshu, means the eyes of knowledge, by which one can see reality beyond how it appears at the material level. Everybody with me? Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhuji, can you please repeat what were the exact questions of 5 and 6?
I'll repeat all 6 questions of Arjuna in verse number 1. Says Prakriti Purusha Kshetra Kshetragya. Prakriti and Purusha are 1 and 2. Kshetra Kshetragya are 3 and 4. Jnana means knowledge is question 5. And Gayam means the object of knowledge is question number 6. Bhaktish Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
All right. Have undivided attention. I'm going to lay a foundation for chapters 13 to 18. And you will understand the flow of these chapters. So, chapter 13, verse number 22 is the third junction point in Bhagavad Gita. Although 13.22 is not a key memorization verse, it obviously is a very important verse. Acharyas have called 13.22 as the BG Vakya of Bhagavad Gita. Means 13.22 is the seed verse for entire material existence. That why 13.22 is called the Bij Vakya or the seed verse. You will understand that 13.22 is the seed verse that will lead to the development of thought in subsequent verses and chapters. So although 13.22 is not a key memorization verse, you can definitely try to memorize because it's the seed verse of entire material existence. Purusha Prakriti Stohi Bhumte Prakriti Jan Gunan Karanam Guna Sango Asya Sad Asad Yoni Janmashu. So in chapter 15, Krishna will give the metaphor of the upside down banyan tree to describe this material existence. The point of the upside down banyan tree is that every tree has a seed from which it grows. That seed is 13.22. The whole material existence where we live in is grown from the enjoying mentality of the soul. So 13.22, second line has the word bhumte, means enjoying mentality. This enjoying mentality of the soul is the seed for this material existence. And the tree is described in chapter 15 through a metaphor. Now, any tree needs to be watered, to be nourished. So the tree of material existence, the water for nourishment that water is the three modes of material nature. So in the seed of material existence is introduced in 13.22, and the water that nourishes the tree or the seed or both is explained in chapter 14, the three modes of material nature. Chapter 15 talks about the tree itself, means the material existence itself. And chapter 15 also talks about how one needs to detach oneself from this strongly rooted banyan tree, means the strongly rooted material existence. So 13.22, as I recited right now, it has the word sangha, that karanam guna sangosya. And this sangha with the gunas leads to sad asad yoni janmashu, means leads to birth among the 8.4 million life forms in the material world. And chapter 15, verse 3 and 4, Krishna describes the opposite of sangha. Krishna describes asangha, means detachment, so that one can become free from this entangling material world. Now, chapter 16 has the upper and lower parts of the tree, means the two extremes. So chapter 16 is titled The Divine and Demoniac Nature. So there are these two extremes of the tree, that some people are divine and some people are demoniac. So that's described in chapter 16 at great length. Chapter 17 describes the intermediate parts, that people who are not explicitly devoted to God according to scriptures, and simultaneously people are not brazenly defiant of God as well, means they fall somewhere in between the two extremes. So two extremes were in chapter 16 of divine and demoniac, and all those who fall in between, who are not the two extremes, but they are somewhere in between, they are described in chapter 17. Chapter 18 has a summary of everything that we discussed from the start. Lot of sections of karma yoga and bhakti yoga. And chapter 18 summarizes everything. There are a few verses on Gyan Yoga for the leftover discussion. Otherwise, chapter 18 is largely on Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Everybody with me? Everybody understands the flow of chapters 13 to 18. Very important overview to understand and frame it in your head.
So, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. How how do we move from 15 to 16, like from that detachment point to us,
So,
like demonic nature?
so chapter 15 describes the tree, right? And simultaneously, it also describes that the tree of material existence is very entangling. Therefore, you learn to detach with determination. But essentially, chapter 15 is talking about the tree. And chapter 16 then says, okay, there are two extremes of the tree, the divine and the demoniac. That's how the conversation flows. Abhishek Prabhu. Everybody with me? Everybody understands the flow of chapters 13 to 18? Yes, no, silence. Real silence.
Prabhuji, it's
All right, Deepa, go ahead.
it's a little too much for me to remember. So what I did, I just made some notes so that I will just refer back to that.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
That's okay. Padma Kumar Prabhu, what do you want me to repeat? Padma Kumar Prabhu? Padma Kumar Prabhu, you are asking me to repeat something, but you'll have to tell me what do you want me to repeat. Okay. I don't know what to repeat. All of you, you want me to repeat chapter 13 to 18 overview again?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Padma Kumar Prabhu, also for clarifying. Okay. So let me repeat chapter 13 to 18 overview. It's a very important point. So chapter 13, verse number 22 is the most important verse. 13.22 is called by Acharyas as the Bij Vakya or the seed verse of entire material existence. 13.22 verse leads to the development of thought in subsequent verses and chapters. So chapter 15, Krishna gives the metaphor of the upside down banyan tree to represent the material existence. Upside down because that everything in the material world is upside down. So every tree has a seed from which it grows. That seed of material existence, or the seed on which material existence has grown, is 13.22, the word bhumte, the enjoying mentality of the soul. The tree of material existence needs water for nourishment. That water is the three modes of material nature. So the seed is described in 13.22 with the bhumte word, enjoying mentality. The water that nourishes the seed as well as the tree is explained in chapter 14 with the three modes of material nature. Chapter 15 talks about the tree itself, that the tree or the material existence is very entangling. Therefore, we need to detach ourselves from this strongly rooted banyan tree with determination. So 13.22 will soon be reading has the word Sangha, means association and attachment. It leads to birth among the 8.4 million life forms. And 15.3 and 4 verse has the word Asanga, means by detachment, one can become free. Chapter 16, the upper and lower parts of the tree are described, means the two extremes are described. Therefore, chapter 16 is titled The Divine and Demoniac Nature as the two extremes in the material world. Chapter 17 describes the intermediate parts, that people who are not explicitly devoted to God, according to scriptures, nor are they brazenly defiant of God. What about them is described in chapter 17 as the in-between parts of the two extremes described in chapter 16. Chapter 17 has those in-between parts. And chapter 18 has a summary of everything. Mainly chapter 18 is on Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, with about 4 or 5 verses leftover discussion on Gyan Yoga as the sadhana of Gyan Yoga. Everybody with me? Questions, comments, realizations? All right. Ria will read 13.22 translation. So I recited and I will recite again 13.22. 13.22 is Purusha Prakati Stohi Bhunte Prakati Jan Gunan Karanam Guna Sango Asya Sad Asad Yoni Janmashu. So it says Purusha Prakriti Stohi, that the Purusha or the Jiva gets caught by Maya or gets caught by material nature when the soul does not want to do devotional service. Therefore, it's a very, very important verse. Priya, 13.22 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. 13.22. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species. Hare Krishna.
Right? The enjoying mentality of the three modes leads to the 8.4 million life forms. All right, let's start reading from 13.1 onwards. So 13.1 and 2 are combined verses. Ritu will read just the first part of 13.1, 1 and 2. So it stops at a full stop. Read only till the full stop. And I'll ask you a question.
Hare Krishna. Arjun said, "Oh my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field, and the knower of the field, and of knowledge, and the object of knowledge."
Right, so this is verse number 1. Arjuna is asking 6 questions. Prakriti Purusha, Kshetra Kshetragya, Jnanam Geyam. So I'll give you in English. Question number 1 is what is Prakriti? Number 2 is what is Purusha? Question number 3 is what is Kshetra? I'll explain very soon, Kshetra. Question number 4 is who is Kshetragya? Means knower of the field. Question number 5 is what is knowledge? And question number 6 is what is object of knowledge? Means question 5 is Jnana and question 6 is Geyam, object of knowledge. So out of your comfort zone, here's a question for all of you. Now, where does this Arjuna's question in 13.1 come from? Can anybody try to attempt? It's out of your comfort zone. It's not mandatory. Anybody wants to attempt? Where does this question come from? Or would you like to know the answer? Neither. I got silence again. Neither.
Would like to know the answer, Prabhuji.
All right. The rest of you, it's only Janisha and Ritu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I want to know.
All right. The rest of you are still silent. Either you are in North America, you are feeling sleepy, or you are in India time, you are very early, you are still feeling sleepy.
I would like to know, Prabhuji.
Would like to know, Prabhuji.
All right. Okay, let me answer. So these are familiar terms in Vedic context. But what do they exactly mean? I don't know. And therefore, Arjuna is asking this question, these sets of questions. So the chapter title, the nature, the enjoyer, the consciousness, comes exactly from Arjuna's questions in 13.1. In Arjuna's questions, Prakriti and Kshetra are not conscious. I'll soon explain. What is Kshetra? I'll soon explain. Geyam, Purusha, and Kshetragya, these are conscious. Knowledge is of course knowledge. So these are the entities referred to in chapter 13, and therefore that's how the chapter is titled. Now, what generates Arjuna's these questions? That it is not necessary that something in the previous chapter has to necessarily lead to this question. And say when you meet a learned teacher, even in the material world, or a spiritual teacher, the learned teacher may speak on a particular subject matter. And after the class is over, we may not restrict ourselves to asking questions only related to that subject matter on which the teacher was giving the class. Meaning, if we have some general philosophical doubts, we may also take advantage and ask the teacher, by the way, you are present here, can you please also clarify? I have heard so and so terms. Can you please help me understand this? So similarly, when Arjuna is asking these questions in 13.1, his questions are not necessarily limited or connected to what has been discussed in the previous 12 chapters. No, it has no connection. Therefore, chapter 13 onwards is a completely new topic. So Arjuna is living in a Vedic culture. He has heard these terms. Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetragya, Jnanam, Geyam. But he does not have full understanding. Although Arjuna knows he's a pure devotee, he's asking for us, on our behalf. And Arjuna would like to get these terms clarified because the supreme teacher, Krishna, is in front of him. Everybody with me? Questions, comments, realizations? All right. So Ritu will continue. So Ritu will now read 1 and 2 together. So Arjuna is asking the question and Krishna will start responding in 2. Therefore, 1 and 2 are combined.
Hare Krishna, the Supreme Personality.
You can read the whole from the start.
Okay, Prabhuji. Arjuna said, "O my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, Purusha, and the field, and the knower of the field, and of knowledge, and the object of knowledge." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field." Hare Krishna.
So this body means Arjuna's body, my body, your body is known as Kshetra, is known as the field. And one who knows this body is known as Kshetragya, means knower of the body. So the field of activity is the body. Now, what exactly is the meaning of Kshetra? Or what exactly is the meaning of this field of activity? So Kshetra is part of Prakriti. We'll soon discuss in verse 6 and 7 how our bodies are constructed. Therefore, I said this philosophical discussion in chapters 13 and 14 does not exist in any religious scriptures, and it is mind-blowing. So Kshetra, our body, is part of Prakriti. Prakriti is material nature. So all around you and me is material nature. But we cannot control all of material nature. We can only control some parts of its parts. Example, I can move my own hand, but I cannot move your hand. I cannot control material nature beyond my jurisdiction of influence. So Kshetra refers to area of influence. So my body is my Kshetra, and my body, my Kshetra is my area of influence. All of us have some influence over our respective body, but we do not have complete control of our own body, because there is a lot that happens in the body which is involuntary. Example, breathing. Example, digestion. We have no control. We take it for granted, right? So we have some control on our body, but not full control. So our body is our destined kshetra, is our destined field of activity. Now, different living entities have different levels of kshetra. So there are 8.4 million living entities. They have these different levels of kshetra. Example, an insect has a very tiny kshetra. The insect's influence is very little. Insect is also a soul, meaning within the body of insect, there is of course a soul. Because of past karma, the soul is been given a very tiny kshetra or a very tiny area of influence. In human form, the kshetra is little more evolved. Rather, our interaction with the kshetra is more evolved. Now, here's a question or a discussion point that most species, means most kshetras, have brains like we humans have brains. So what is the difference? The difference is brain is just a facility. Brain is like a gadget. To understand brain is like a gadget, take an example that a child is given a toy. He presses the start and stop button on a very small toy. This toy is very preliminary technology. Now, if a child is given a sophisticated laptop with all kinds of applications, well, the child is not going to be able to do much because the child's intelligence is limited. Hence, the child is not going to be able to do much with the sophisticated laptop. Point is that it is not just the technology gadgets that are important. But along with that, there also has to be evolved intelligence which can use the gadgets. Meaning, all species or most species have brains. Brain is just a gadget. But the consciousness is not that evolved. Therefore, soul in animal body cannot use the brain for spirituality, while soul in a human body has the consciousness evolved. Therefore, they can use the brain for spirituality functions or much more than what the animals can use the brain for. So animals may not be able to do a lot of philosophical thought because animals' brain is not involved, as well as animals' consciousness is also not involved. But brain is just a facility. Brain is just a gadget. Beyond the gadget, the conscious soul is using the facility for more deep thinking. The soul is the source of consciousness, and the soul has to use the brain, or the soul has to use the gadget. Human brain has much more capacity But the human brain is still just a tool, just a gadget. Human brain tool is more sophisticated than the brain tool in the animal body. But no matter how sophisticated the tool may be, but the person using the tool also has to have that capacity, that skill to use the sophisticated tool. Just as I explained the example of a child, the child can press start and stop buttons on a preliminary technology toy. The child cannot use a sophisticated laptop. So soul having more evolved consciousness does not just refer to more developed brain. Important point to recognize is that the kshetra which we human beings have has greater capacity for spiritual inquiry, spiritual realizations as compared to other kshetras. We are getting very close to 10:30 p.m. Toronto time. I'm pretty sure this is a very heavy conversation, and this heavy conversation will continue in our next class also. As I said, that chapter 13 is very philosophical, and this discussion does not exist in any other religious scriptures. I will explain practical points as we progress. I briefly describe. I will pause here for any questions, comments, realizations.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Krishna.
Why is it called influence? Sorry, in the sense that influence generally happens on something other, but here it's our own body only.
Yeah, so the influence is referring to the soul having the influence on the body. So I am not this body. What is Krishna's first instruction? Right? I am not this body. I am a soul. So the influence is referencing that the soul has the influence over this field of activity, means over this body. Abhishek Prabhu? Everybody on the same page? I will of course repeat this verse number 2, Kshetra and the gadget brain analogy again at the next class for continuity. Everybody on the same page? I got a lot of silence today also.
Yes, Prabhuji, I really enjoyed this class. I think the time went by really fast.
All right. All right, I won't keep you all waited. Those in North America is getting late, and those in India time zone, it's early morning as well. Both times are important for various reasons. We'll stop here. I will post Prabhupada lecture, do a reality check of the points we discussed. Yeah, Padma Kumar Prabhu, Bhagavatam class Sunday times are at the same times. It's only the Saturday classes times changed. All right, we'll stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.